The Nissan Foundation named the Discovery Center at Murphy Springs in 2024 grant recipient. The Nissan Foundation grant will help fund the Discovery Center's Cultural Heritage Free Day program, which is aimed at celebrating the diversity of Murfreesboro and the surrounding communities. The Nissan Foundation was created in 1992 as a thoughtful response to the civil unrest that occurred near Nissan North America.
This is Conversations with Mike Sparks.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, your community? Then you're in the right place. State Representative Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk about local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
You're listening to Conversation Mike Sparks, formerly the Rutherford Magazine Show. I keep saying the Rutherford Magazine Show. But exciting show tonight. Got a busy show. And often talk about God-wink moments, extreme coincidences that really defy probability. And I really think my stats and probability statistics, Professor Keith Claxton, if he's listening, would say that's very improbable. He couldn't even factor the chances of this gentleman reaching out to me, David Siracusa, film producer. I've been talking about butthurt, dysfunction in government. Even my Sunday school teacher this morning, he didn't know what I meant. He said, "What do you mean? What's butthurt?" I said, butt hurt. It's an academic term for people with their butts that are hurt, and he finally figured it out. But I just see so much dysfunction in government. And I had a strange request through Facebook. David Siracusa out of Florida asked about come on the air, and he just so happens to have picked Smyrna and just happens to have put a film together called The Uncivil War, A Divided America. So, David, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate that. And I was looking for a show that might be interested in talking about something like this because I think it's such an important topic right now. The election coming up, everything that we're going through right now, it's just kind of a crazy world out there, right? Yes. And unfortunately, I mean, you can see, I was driving up here, I'd stop every now and then, and you wouldn't believe the stuff that I was getting on my Facebook, oh, I hate Trump. And I hate this, and Kamala's the worst, and everybody from both sides. And everything that they're saying is maybe partially true, maybe a lot false, but everyone's just screaming at each other. Yeah. And why? Why the hatred for one another?
Yeah.
Yes, we all know we've got differing political views. Does that mean that we have to hate one another, though, for it? It just seems over the top and very intense right now.
Yeah. Well, what's give us because the movie's going to be shown tomorrow night in Smyrna at Malco Theater at 6:30, correct?
6:30, yes.
Okay, 6:30. And in fact, I'd be willing to give buy some tickets if folks want to call in and I don't know how we used to do a little contest years ago. If somebody wanted to call in, I guess we can come up with something here with Jackson here in a little bit. Or somebody give me a trivia about Old Jefferson Community. Roger can come up with that, I guess, or Jenny Williams, who's coming up next, and Toby Francis. Don't be talking about Old Jefferson. But Malco Theater, Monday night, 6:30. And how long is the film?
So the film's about an hour and a half, a little bit over, and then I'm usually there to answer questions, or I have been for every film.
Will you be are you going to, like I was at Dr. Ming Wang's event in Franklin a few months ago with director Michael Carnes about Dr. Ming Wang's new movie. Now, he got up, and I think they spoke after, or maybe they spoke before and after. How do you do that? Do you speak to the crowd at theater?
It's different for each theater. Like we were down in Sarasota. We had 3 showings down there. And I stood up beforehand, told everyone a little bit about it. And I let them know that I was the writer, producer, and the lead in it, which usually they'll know because they'll see my face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But, I let them know that, this was kind of what I wrote the film about and why I wrote it. it.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I talk to people as well, because then people have questions.
Yeah.
Why did you write it this way? Why that ending? Why, and there are a lot of whys afterwards,
Yeah.
because it's such an explosive
Well,
topic.
you and I talked about the Rotten Tomatoes a rating. I'm not familiar with Rotten Tomatoes. I've heard of it. Explain what Rotten Tomatoes is, and maybe it sounds like you got a pretty good rating from them.
Yeah, we've got a really good rating with them right now. So Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, they're just systems so that people can go on there and say, this is what I think of this film. You can
Yeah.
give a review. You can give it 9 out of 10 stars, 1 out of 10, and we've got a pretty good review rating on both of them, 96% on one and 9.3% on the other. So, I'm very happy with that. And so, if you don't mind, I'd like to just back
Yeah.
up, tell the people a little bit about the film. So the film, and we were talking about this earlier today, it is based on some real life situations. So I play basketball with a good friend of mine, and he's black and I'm white. And during COVID in 2020, in the summer of 2020, we were the only ones out there playing because everybody was stuck at home, scared, terrified. And for whatever reason, we were getting out of the house. And, we're in Florida. So I think like Tennessee was fairly open, right, during COVID.
Well,
A little bit,
somewhat.
somewhat. Okay.
Fairly.
Florida was pretty wide open. I'm thrilled it was fairly wide open. So I really was in my house for a very short time. Then we were back playing basketball. And what happened was we were just having these conversations. What do you think about what's going on? What's happening with George Floyd? Do you agree with that? Don't you? What do you think? And they were conversations that he and I were having as a white man and a black man. Hey, we have different perspectives on this. What do you think about this stuff? And we would talk about it. And we would talk about the COVID lockdowns. And it was interesting because we could talk about it, but we both knew there were a lot of our friends and family that we couldn't talk about it with. They just wouldn't do it. And if we did talk to them, we probably weren't going to talk to them for another week or 5 months or 10 years because it was so divisive.
Yes. My assistant, former assistant, he's listening out. I asked him to listen. He's studying for law school, young African-American graduate at TSU, knocked on 4,000 doors in this community for me and faced no racism. He did get pulled over by the cops once. Okay. And we kind of laughed about it, but his Shelby County tags, and great young man. Everybody just loved him. But I've always tried to get his perspective of, is there profile and, how, because, I'm extra Caucasian, so I've been, treated great by law enforcement, and I've had some bad experience with law enforcement. But I don't know what it's like to be black or feel like I'm being profiled. I try to put myself in other people's shoes. Now you're a friend because you teach acting too. You used to have a radio show, correct?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. I try and encourage people to get into it because I think it's such a great industry.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. But that's interesting because you talk about your assistant who used to work here, and we went to Savannah and we showed the movie in Savannah, Georgia, and that was our first audience. That was not predominantly, almost entirely lily white. I mean, in Florida, all the audiences were white. And so it was interesting to go to Augusta, and there we had a 60%, I would say about 60% of the audience was black and 40% probably white-ish or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to get their feedback. And what I found really interesting, I thought, was that first of all, the community loved it. They thought the film was great.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing to me was a lot of the black people said, these are conversations we should be having. And I don't know if this was what I kind of took away from it or if it was what they were really trying to get across to me. And I wish I'd asked them at the time. But they kind of gave the feeling, the impression that they were sick of white people having to defend them. It was kind of the, we're not kids enough. We can take care of ourselves. They almost felt like being smothered by a parent or something, you know?
Well, if I was hoping you could get a hold of Angela Bingham, who's got a Simplicity radio show, comes on after us at 6, and you'll meet her when she comes in, but I don't know if she's got any airtime to host you or if Ed Raymer's listening. I tried to call Ed and send him some messages about what the subject matter is. I mentioned this at our Men of Hope Bible study we host at Sam Davis' home. Hats off to Mark Lewis and Chuck Isbell and others that helped put this together, Pastor Kent Singleton, and about 55 guys, black, white. And I mentioned this at the very end. And I mentioned, the background about your black friend, you growing up and playing basketball, and y'all were good buddies until some of this division that occurred, and a couple of African Americans come up to me and wanted to know more. They were interested. I said, look, man, the film could be terrible for all I know. I mean, I could get egg all over my face by encouraging everybody to come over there. And I mean, I bet I've texted 100-something people, even the mayor. She's going to try to make it, but her dad just had back surgery, so prayers to Coon Victory. Hopefully he recovers from the back surgery, but she may try to make it. Commissioner Phil Wilson, I think, is going to make it, and several other friends are going. But the guy made a comment to me. He said, even if the film's bad, I like that you're talking about this. He didn't know me from Adam. This guy didn't know me from Adam,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the cool thing about it. I always go back to, I love the movie Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. I don't know if you ever saw that. Yeah. It's an old movie from the 80s. Yeah. And you familiar with it?
No, it's just Spike Lee. Wow.
Oh yeah, I mean, but it's a classic movie.
Yeah.
He's such an amazing director, right? And he plays Mookie in the movie. He's actually in it, one of his first big roles, I believe. And I disagreed with a lot of the messaging in that movie, but I've seen that movie probably 5, 6, 7 times. I love the movie because it raises so many questions. It makes you think, and Spike Lee does such a great job of inciting the emotions.
Yeah.
And so if I get that, if I, like he said, I might hate that movie, but if I walk out of it and it sparks something, then the movie has achieved its goal.
I had my wife watch the trailer because I wasn't like I was a little apprehensive. I've never had a film producer call me, hey man, I'm coming to your community, want to show this movie, but I love the title because I see such lack of civility. In fact, I even wrote an op-ed called "Lack of Civility is a Threat to the Republic," and that was on my Tennessee Ledger about back in November. And so I love the subject matter. But one thing that and I want to segue on something real quick. We just had Springs Empower Academy. That's controversial. I don't know why. It's the first charter school, but they're over at the Boys and Girls Club. And I went to all those schools: David Drury, Smyrna Primary, Smyrna High School, Smyrna and Smyrna West, and Thurman Francis. Some of the best schools, I believe. Thurman Francis for sure in the state of Tennessee. And I was telling the new director. In fact, he came to the Bible study. His name is it is Shane Wickwire. Shane Wickwire is the new director of Springs Academy. And I was telling him, I said, CS Road back here behind you, we're doing the radio show live Thursday. I said, I had 2 little black friends. We were probably 9 and 10, maybe 11, and they were so poor. They had no safety net. There was no safety. There wasn't a food bank back then. There wasn't no Goodwill. The clothes they wore were like literally just almost like rags. They were so poor. And they got taken away from their parents, put in preparatory school. And my mother would take us up there to go see them. And, I had a father, I had a stepdad, I had a mom that truly cared. And they were just so impoverished. And I remember Bo Washington, she's since passed. She was a school teacher, Smyrna Primary. She remembers those young men. But I remember they didn't even have a coat. My mom would buy them a coat because they were great athletes. And sadly, I've heard one went to prison, another one stayed in touch with me. And I always thought, man, if they had that family, that safety net, could they have been a basketball player? Could they have had a scholarship? Could they have went to Central Magnet School? Could they have went to go play football at MTSU? But they never had a chance. And I watched the discrimination. It wasn't openly, but it was like they were dirty, they were dressed terrible. And that always played on me. But I always thought if the Boys and Girls Club would have been there back in the day,
absolutely,
those kids could have at least had a little bit of leverage to move up in the ladder of society.
Oh, yeah. The society today, I mean, it's funny when I think when people talk about discrimination today, I don't think they understand what it was like back then.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just it's night and day difference.
Housing.
Oh, everything. I mean, it was terrible. You go back 50 years, 100 years. I mean, forget about it.
Yeah.
And so the differences we have today, I think, and we've gone backwards. It feels like from the 80s and the 90s. Yes. I mean, it feels like now race has become so much more of an issue. I don't even remember talking about race 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
And yet somehow we made all those great steps forward, and now we've gone steps backwards.
I've always liked the interview of Morgan Freeman.
Oh, he's
kind of
fantastic.
one of my
Yes.
heroes.
Yeah.
In fact, I wanted to get his voice to do a radio spot. And anyways,
Everybody
just
wants his
I
voice.
know,
It's amazing.
Just a great voice. But I like what he said. He says, the guy's like, what do we do about racism? Just quit talking about it.
Yes.
I mean, here
absolutely.
we are talking about it. But I do like that you're, in a way, this is kind of, I haven't seen, I just seen the trailer. Conflict resolution is a big part. And as a Christian, I just think that we need healing, follow the principles of Jesus. Don't mean you got to be in church, but an atheist would agree with Jesus. If you loved your neighbor like you did yourself, we wouldn't have the fentanyl overdose. We wouldn't have the crime like we're seeing. We wouldn't have the gangbang and the school shootings. But you're not really coming at this from a faith-based angle, though, are you?
Not this film. No.
Yeah.
No. This film is more just the anger that is felt on both sides. And you go back again, 80s, 90s, everything was higher taxes, lower taxes. You can get upset about higher taxes or lower taxes, but nobody's at each other's throats for that, right?
Yeah.
Now we're talking about discrimination and racism. Now that is a touchy subject. Now people are at each other's throats, and it's like, but that's your brother, that's your mom, that's your uncle, and yet you're at each other's throats.
I won't say who. This person may not want me sharing it, but it's a young African American that I'm close to, that when they had the riots in Nashville where the city hall was burnt, probably, I forgot, $20 million worth of damage. Media doesn't report that. See, that maybe that's my confirmational bias right there. I just seen that guy light that, and that was a white guy that lit it on fire and caused all that damage. But this young man, he reached out. He was really upset over the George Floyd situation, and he's seen some of the stuff getting out of hand. And he shot a video of himself, and he's like, "I'm out of here. I'm going home. Like, I'm not a part of this stuff." And I'm not saying who it is. So if they're listening right now, I'm not saying their name. But I thought that was because this person was fired up.
Right.
He was really upset. But when he seen the chaos and broken windows and things like that, then Nashville
Didn't
City
wanna be
Hall
a part
being
of
lit
that.
on fire. We had a little bit of chaos in Nashville.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know other
Yeah.
parts of the country had some big problems. But your buddy that you play basketball with, what's the status on him?
So I wanted him to actually try out for the role, but he's not an actor, but he loves the film. He actually does a lot of missionary work, so he hasn't actually even been able to see the film yet.
Really?
But yeah, we're actually hoping that when it goes back to Florida, that he's going to get a chance to see it there.
Because it's not really. I mean, I guess it's controversial. Would you say it's controversial?
The movie seems to be controversial, but I think it's more controversial with people who haven't seen the movie. Once they
Okay.
see the movie, they say, "I expected it to be a lot worse." I don't know what they mean by worse.
But
I
there's
need
not
to
a lot of
ask them.
bad language or anything, is it?
I tried to keep the language down. I mean, it's rated
Can
for
you say
13
those
and
words
up.
on the radio?
There's one or two that probably shouldn't be said on the radio. But
Okay.
so yeah, I mean, I tried to keep it clean. There's some levity in there that has some stuff that I actually regret now that I put in there, but at the time was not an issue. I'll tell you one real quick story if you got a second.
go ahead.
So at the time that I was doing the movie, we were casting for it, and I thought this was really interesting. My co-star in it, Bronson Buddha Taylor, who is fantastic as Byron, the gentleman, the black friend in the film, he said, as soon as I saw this audition go out, he said, "I knew I wanted that part." He said, "I knew I wanted it."
Yeah.
He said, "But I've got to tell you."
He's the one that's the barber in the movie.
Yes, he's
Okay.
the barber in the movie. So he's my best friend in the movie. He's the one that we start arguing a little bit.
Did y'all become friends?
And we're best buddies now. We're actually going to Beaumont, Texas next because
No,
that's
that's
where
next
his
week?
hometown is. That's in a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks.
Now, let me ask you, and I want to put you in touch with Monty Friss. I think Monty would probably host you. He's out in East Tennessee. So I hope we get a good crowd out there, and just want to encourage folks to go out there, whether you're black, white, rich, poor, Democrat, Republican, just show up and meet you.
Yeah.
How
And
can folks describe yourself if you're are you going to stand out front and greet
Oh
people?
yeah, I'll be out front. You'll see me. I'm an Italian bald guy. I don't know.
And what's
So-
that fancy car you're driving out there? That's a pretty cool car.
That's my Tesla. Yeah, I love that thing. That's
That's a nice-
great.
so
It's
you-
actually in the movie.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You like Elon Musk?
He's a good guy. I think he's trying hard.
like it.
He stirs things up. But so real quick, I was going to say, so Bronson really wanted this part, but I'll tell you the interesting thing about it was, he said, "Dave, I have to tell you, when I did the audition tape for it, We had to tape it over and over and over again because he said, myself and the reader, the woman that was reading with me, he said, we cried so many times or got emotional doing it that we had to stop and redo it over and over again. Yes. He is a fantastic guy. He's Special Forces.
Oh, really?
He's an amazing guy. He's a big dude, too.
Is he really?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't want to mess him up. I wouldn't want to, get him upset.
I texted Gerald Martin. Gerald does security, former military, and I don't know if Gerald's listening right now, but he's usually at our prayer Men of Hope prayer breakfast. Wish you could have been over there and kind of talked about it, but maybe we can get you back in Smyrna after this.
I'd love to come back. I'd love to show it again. I mean, if we have a great showing here, or if we get the theater half full and everybody says this is great, we should have had more people, I will absolutely come back.
And again, why did you pick Smyrna?
So we actually, my director and director of photography are both from Tennessee, from Nashville.
Okay.
And so he was talking, Andrew Huff was talking with Malco Theaters.
Okay.
And Malco said, we'll put it in one to test it out, see how it does there.
Yeah.
And then, we'll open it up to others if it does well.
Cool.
Which is, the life of an independent filmmaker. It's tough. I've had to call every movie theater individually and get them to put my film in there.
Really?
It is a painstaking process.
Wow.
Because all they want are Deadpool movies. They want a movie that, they don't have to do anything for. The fans are going to come running for. And they can't upset the studios. So if the studios say we need 6 times on this day and that day, and then they don't have much time for the indie filmmakers, which is why it's a Monday night at 6:30 and why I drove up here, 2 days to get here.
Yeah.
Because I want to be here to answer questions. I want to see it be successful. And I would love to have, more showings in Smyrna and Nashville and Murfreesboro. You name it. I'd love to show it there.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this goes good. So looking forward to you tomorrow night, Malco Theater in Smyrna. I want to invite everyone to come out. And if somebody comes up and sees me personally, I may just go ahead and buy their ticket. I just hope I don't have 1,000 people rushing up to me.
Well, there's only I think room for 60 in there. So
for real?
I think it's a smaller theater. Yeah. That's great.
Packing.
I would love to pack it because I will definitely have it back again if we do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've got a lot. I've got a lot of folks. Even
well, then they better buy tickets fast because it's gonna sell out fast. That's great.
Yeah. Thank you so much, folks. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliates.
Hey, Middle Tennessee, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. What's less secure than a fake safe from a big box or furniture store? Joe Biden's fake border policy, of course. But hey, there is good news. This time next year, Joe Biden will not be president. So drop by the Safe House and check out the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. Build a wall around your valuables with a safe from the Safe House. We have certified delivery crews to deliver and install your safe. Don't let a crackhead or illegal deliver your safe. With over 30 years in the safe business, the Safe House is the place to buy a safe in Tennessee. So go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
Hello and buenos dias. I'm Lisette Lopez, your bilingual real estate agent at Keller Williams Murfreesboro. I specialize in helping you make informed decisions that align with your goals. I'm offering free classes from how to fix your credit to investing to create generational wealth. Start your real estate journey with Lisette Lopez today. Call me at 954-552-4932. The number again is 954-552-4932. Or browse my website at lopezsellstn.kw.com. Thank you.
right, we're back. Conversation
be
with
a
Mike
whole-
Sparks. Fixing to talk about the old Jefferson community, and really excited about that. But before we segue into that, I want Jeremy Smithson, our trusted intern, he just graduated his second degree. I wanted to give him some time to talk about his school and your new job.
Yeah, man, it's been a whirlwind. But yeah, no, if you follow Mike on Facebook, then you've seen his post about me, and so he's been talking a lot of smack about
You're a
drummers.
drummer. You like them jokes, don't you?
They're okay. They're good. But
What
yeah,
was that one about? Something about it takes 5 drummers to screw a light bulb in. One to hold the light bulb, the other 4 to talk about some famous drummer with Rush.
Yeah.
Was it Rush?
Rush or somebody, or like maybe
famous drummer. He's now
or who's
deceased.
that? Some jazz drummer, I think is what you said, or something like that. I don't know, but
Yeah,
no,
we're pretty good.
the one that stands out to me was the one where like how do you know a drummer's knocking on the door? The knocking speeds up.
Yeah, I like that.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
no,
funny.
it's been a whirlwind. I graduated in 2022 first, and then I did it again.
Yes,
On my post, I said we run it back, and so yeah, I ran it back, and so
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, no,
And you're in your job right now. Where you at?
I'm still at Horton, Henry Horton. I had an interview Friday with the park manager at Fort Loudon State Park
Good.
out in there in East
Did you tell him
Tennessee.
you know Dr. Brian Terry?
I didn't mention any like connections, but it's let stuff like that speak for itself. But it was a good interview. It was a good interview.
All right.
I felt very good about it. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to what my future holds.
That's your dream job.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Guests in the studio. I'm gonna call all y'all historians. Is that okay? Historian Jenny Williams.
We love history.
Historian Toby Francis. Historian Roger Thomas with Sam Davis Home. What do you call yourself over there?
Tour guide.
Tour guide. I keep wanting to call you caretaker.
Yeah. Well, I do that too, but
Yeah.
I'm actually.
I've heard docent. They used to say docent. DOCENT.
Well, I don't know about that, but
What does that mean?
Good question.
Toby, you know? Yeah.
A docent.
I think you want to go. Go ahead, Roger. I think your aunt's called in.
yeah, Aunt Dot, is that you?
It's me.
All right.
Well, tell
hey.
everybody who she is.
Oh yeah, everyone. This is my aunt Dot Comer, and I think she's 95 years young. And as far as we know, maybe the oldest person, I guess, from Old Jefferson area. But anyway, we got, like I said, Toby here tonight, and we got Jenny and, of course, Mike. We're going to talk life in Old Jefferson a little bit. So, Mike, would you like me to?
Well, let me get Toby to just.
Yeah.
Toby, folks that may not know what Old Jefferson, I think it's the coolest story out there, and that's why I wanted David, the film producer. I know he's listening to this. I'm hoping that him or Michael Carnes or Jeff Green or somebody will pick this up and do a little documentary about Old Jefferson. The first black lawmaker come from out there at Stony Lonesome. We lived there, and I think Councilman Jerry Short's grandparents lived at Stony Lonesome, the way he talked. Old plantation home. Now, Samson Keeble was born free. He was the first black lawmaker. He's Republican, by the way, not trying to be political, but he's Republican. And the Trelatiers come through there. Jesse James come through there. Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, Andrew Jackson.
Toby Francis came through there.
He leads a group of people.
Oh, it is so cool. But Toby, just go over an overview of what Old Jefferson is, for people that may not know.
The town of Old Jefferson was actually founded at the same time that the county came in existence in 2003. The state was founded in 1796, and then for the first decade, so Old Jefferson became the county seat.
In 1803? 1803?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 1803.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the 2003 years was the dates I mentioned, and but that was like a 200th anniversary, and that was
Yes, sir.
that was the first walking tour.
Yes, sir.
That we organized, and 70 people showed up.
Yes,
to
I think
come
I
to-
was out there. Jenny,
Yeah.
was that the one I had Boss Bobby out there on that Ranger, the four-wheel?
I think it was
drive?
the next one.
Was it one after?
Yeah.
That was a good
He's
tour.
got a picture. It was a big bunch of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a.
Toby's got a lot of documentation.
Folks, there's some false information. I read that we used to think that Old Jefferson was under Percy Priest Lake, and that was never true, was it?
Oh no, no, it was. Well, it's just a natural thing that when you what actually happens is you've got a massive flood area surrounding the town of Old Jefferson. In fact, the Stones River, East Fork comes out of Cannon County and comes in from the east through Lascassas and Walter Hill, and then on the southern part of the county you have the West Fork. So it takes it so that there's a huge watershed area. It's actually so when you do have extra rain, and of course in the case where we had where you have a flood, you've got a certain measure there that you can go up to, and say in most situations the people who manage the whole system, they're able to control the flow of the water and anticipate any danger. But if you have a massive flood, and of course we're seeing a lot of that around the country now, a massive flooding. But so actually through the decades you'll have just like in a more recent time you had floods like in 1948 there was a big one, 55 there was a big one, and then you'll skip about 10 years. Now the most recent one had was actually 2010, and that one was a big flood.
Did you go out there to Old Jefferson when it flooded at the 2010?
I went there after the water went down. It took several weeks for the flow of the water to get so that sort of cleaned it out. But it was actually see, at that time it actually rained right at the beginning of May of that year, May 1st and May 2nd, and so the total for that area measured as you're coming across Memphis, it was about 20 inches, and it got closer to like 14, 15 inches when it got to Rutherford County, and the lake was at full pool at that time. So that was the largest flood, and it did get up to around 504 feet. It went from say a normal summer pool is right at 490, but it got somewhere around 504.
So normally 490, and then it got up to 504.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's actually a 14-foot rise.
Well, speaking of that 1948 flood, I know somebody that actually was in the 1948 flood, which is my aunt right here.
Yeah.
And I was going to see if she could tell us a little bit of story. Hey, Di, would you mind telling us about the flood that you were in?
I can tell it was bad.
What do you remember about it? About the house that the guy that died?
I heard it coming down. I heard it coming down, and all at once it just switched across there, and I'm telling you what, it was just pouring everywhere in everybody's house, and they was running everywhere.
And Uncle Miles, you said his house got flooded.
Oh, Uncle Miles, the whole thing, he wouldn't get out. He didn't want to leave the house, and the whole thing, he stayed up there till that water got up to his roof, up to his house, up where he could see it up to the ceiling, and I guess the whole thing had a heart attack, and that's when, of course he had a son and wanted him to come up there, but he didn't want to leave. And when next day when I got up, the way that water was flowing, it looked higher than our house. I never saw such a flood.
Well, that was good. I know you told me.
It was bad. Everybody had to meet up on the square. That's bad.
The high ground, huh?
Yeah, everybody had to hunt a higher ground. Yeah.
So the square, Miss Dot, that was over there where Lee Victory's house was. Is that right, Toby?
Yes.
Is that where y'all would put the rafts in to go on the river? Lee Victory's house. Right to the right.
No, we actually could put them in anywhere. We what's say more recently we would go to a boating area and launch it, and we have taken them where we go like from the West Fork and then float down to Old Jefferson. And
I'm talking back at the time of Old Jefferson, not currently. I mean,
the logging industry going on, correct? Back in when it was 18. Yeah.
Well, actually, the thing about the area where the town of Old Jefferson was chosen, it had water. It had water on three sides. Okay. So you had the one part which was the high part, which was kind of southeast. Now that would be the private owned property.
The Stony Lonesome area.
Yeah, but the town itself, when the two rivers would rise, when it got high enough, they would actually connect. So the area that was the town itself, where the few houses and various things at the top, churches and things like that, it would be totally surrounded.
Okay.
Now personally, I was born downstream, and our house was on the side next to the lake. So our house was never actually surrounded. But I was at Old Jefferson one time when I was in high school, and I was at the Victory Place, and we were going to a tournament game in Murfreesboro. So most of the day it was raining. By the time we got ready to leave, we were trapped in. So we missed.
So cars could not drive through there.
Oh no.
Could you walk? Could you wade through there?
No. Once it got deep enough, it just kept on getting. I was talking to Don Wright recently, and they lived in the area that was inside the circle where the flood was. And when he was a small child, he had a pair of shoes on, and they were going to wade out before the water got deeper on the side where the two rivers came together. It was still shallow, but they were wading in water to cross over to the drier areas, and one of his shoes fell off. He was a small child, and one of his shoes fell off, so he lost his shoe as they were wading across.
Well,
we'll catch up with Dot. Let's get.
Yeah, and Dot, I'm gonna get with Miss Jenny over here too. One thing that's really dear to our heart and Toby's is Old Jefferson School, and that's what we really remember. And you actually worked there. I think you're the last person that ever worked at Old Jefferson. People didn't realize.
I worked there in '60. Yeah.
In the cafeteria with Miss Smith, right?
With Miss Smith, my mama, that was the last year she worked because, Mom and Daddy moved in '64.
Uh-huh.
And so when they moved, Mama, didn't come back no more. And then Miss Smith, she wanted to take it over herself. Of course, I worked there, but she wanted to take it over, and she said she could do all the work herself. She didn't need nobody to help her. I said, well, okay. I said, that's all right with me.
Yeah, well, Miss
I
Jenny.
didn't get mad at her.
Miss Jenny over here, I think she used to be a cafeteria helper. Am I right, Jenny?
Yeah. Yes, and we felt privileged that we got to help. And the food was so good. It was just country cooking.
Y'all didn't have that square pizza?
We didn't have square
pizza.
We
had pinto beans, cornbread, and
I loved the cornbread. Yeah, beans and taters and
that's good.
Country food.
Mama, my mama could really cook. I tell you.
Oh yeah.
It was great food.
Oh yeah.
But my Miss Smith could too, but my mama could too. Yeah. Boy, I tell you, she could make some of the best fried potatoes I think I ever laid in my mouth.
But speaking of that, we are having the the old Jefferson reunion this year. Just throwing it in there, why it's, and you're gonna come too. You can, you come, and which I know Toby will be there, and Aunt Dot, and
I know I'm gonna try. I mean, I'm just going day by day, but I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna think about it. Yeah, I want to come.
It's
yeah,
the old Jefferson.
My last one.
Old Jefferson reunion, October 19th, 1 to 4, the Davenport Farm on 601 Rock Springs Road, Smyrna, Tennessee. And hope you, Old Jefferson, all the old alumni, like I said.
Are they gonna have it where they had it last the year
Yes,
before?
yes, that is
okay,
right.
I know where that's at.
And Toby and Jenny, anybody, Jerry Short and yourself, anybody ever went to Old Jefferson, you can pick up right where you left off 50 years ago. It's just like a little. It's almost like a little fraternity or whatever. Everybody's just close knit, you know. But
yeah. At one time, when I was on the town council, I kind of looked over there and I saw Frank Johns and Paul Johns, and I thought, wow, all three of us went to Old Jefferson.
Yeah, right, they did, yeah.
We had some smart kids that come from there too, didn't we?
A lot of smart kids. Diane Waldron,
yeah.
Sandra Lanham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were smart.
And another thing, you know, we had when I was going down there, they had chapel every morning, and we'd all go in there and have chapel and prayer, and after that, then we would go into our room.
And what year was that? In the 30s?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was.
Now, Mr. Barrett, Mr. Barrett,
Mr. Walden, he was there that year, but the next year, Mr. Allen Barrett. Do you know him?
Yes, yeah, he had the chapel
Allen Barrett.
session.
Yeah, okay. But he was my teacher, yeah.
I think you was a teenager probably when Toby was born, ain't that? No. So, no. But I've seen pictures. They had the whole school with the overalls on. My mom's in there, and then Aunt Dot showed me something. They're really classics, you know. And yeah, Toby's.
You know what? Boy, it was good to go down there and pump that old water to get a good drink out of the pump. You know?
Oh yeah, like I said, those are good old days. Everybody.
Of course, I had. Now, Toby might not know who my teachers was, but it was Miss Maggie Lowe. That was the first grade, and Miss Catherine Ward. She married Bob Barrett, and then Ethel Short. And then Allen Barrett, and he's kin to John. Yeah.
Oh yeah, my Uncle John. Yeah, John Comer. You're my Uncle John. Yeah, how do you remember that? I can't remember what I did 10 minutes ago.
She does have a great memory.
She does, and she texts. Hey, folks, people realize my aunt texts me. She lives on her own, and calls me. I call her every night and tell her how much I love her. You know, that's an every night thing. So. Like I said, I love her to death, and you wouldn't believe. You look at her when you see her. If you come to reunion, there's no way that lady is 95. So you'll see.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
well, Toby, talk about Robert Weekley. Going back to Robert Weekley, people know Weekley Lane. They know about the King's John's home. Now, Robert Weekley was one of the founders of the Old Jefferson, wasn't he?
Well, he and Bedford, Weekly and Bedford. I've got a picture in here showing the town, how they actually laid it out.
Okay.
In other words, they were advised what was going to happen, so they jumped in very, very quickly and started buying up segments of land. Everything was already, a lot of the places were divided by land grants and so on. Yeah. So they were able to get in there and buy their property. So they laid out, the town, the actual whole village, and actually it included areas that were actually in the flood area. But they started selling lots for like $29 an acre, and so they had had like 160 lots. Of course, they didn't. All those lots were not occupied, but it changed in time. Jefferson actually was the county seat for only the first decade, and then by that time they had settled on Murfreesboro being a more center location.
Okay.
So after that, everything was quickly, but a lot of areas like that, getting from one part of the county to the other, and there are a lot of streams of water, and it was difficult. So being centrally located turned out to be the best answer. So Rutherford County actually began to grow from that center.
So they did float goods from Old Jefferson to Nashville.
There was that carried on. Of course, the other the thing that was big was various kinds of products that they would grow, such as farm product. So what they would do during the spring and summer season, they would on the main street area on the north side of town, they would build sheds and things, and then they, in the fall of the year, when the water level reached an area that you could actually float a flatboat, then that would be the time they would start hauling various stuff downstream.
Okay.
And they were very successful in that. Now I've always thought one of the most dangerous occupations on the face of the earth was actually operating a flatboat on a crooked river, and that's what Stones River was. Yep. It was dangerous.
It was very crooked.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's take a quick break. Miss Dot, hold on with us. We're coming right back to you after this break. We'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliates.
Dr. Automotive Auto Repair and Maintenance Mechanic Shop Garage provides car owners in Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Laverne, and the Middle Tennessee area with excellent auto repair services. Deep-rooted experience in serving both foreign and domestic automobiles allows for proper diagnosis in a timely manner. Check them out online at autorepairsmyrna.com, call them at 615-220-0971, or stop on in at 1205 Hazelwood Drive in Smyrna.
Hi, this is Allie Dauenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
Hey, Middle Tennessee, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. What's less secure than a fake safe from a big box or furniture store? Joe Biden's fake border policy, of course. But hey, there is good news. This time next year, Joe Biden will not be president. So drop by the Safe House and check out the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. Build a wall around your valuables with a safe from the Safe House. We have certified delivery crews to deliver and install your safe. Don't let a crackhead or illegal deliver your safe. With over 30 years in the safe business, the Safe House is the place to buy a safe in Tennessee. So go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
All right, we're back. Conversation Mike Sparks. Got Jenny Williams in the house. Toby Francis, Roger Thomas, and I think it's oldest descendant, oldest living relative, your aunt, Miss Dot Comer, on the line. Miss Dot, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Dot, what do you like to do? What, you got any hobbies or anything?
Oh, I like to do lots of things. Clean house, go out, I like to clean my house. I like to clean windows. I like to do more. And I exercise a lot, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. When we came over to visit you, I seen your little exercise wheel, but thingy, stair, whatever it's called.
Yeah, exercise is good for you. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Jenny, share your experiences with Old Jefferson.
It was a tight-knit group, and I came across a news article that Randy Travis and Becky Merritt's mother wrote. She used to write through the grapevine in the Rutherford Courier.
Okay.
The Rutherford Courier was such a great newspaper. Yeah. And I was reading about the hot dog supper, and the 4-H group met, and I remember taking piano lessons from Mrs. Burkett. Playtime was fun. We'd be outside and we'd play, throw Annie over the building.
Shoot fireworks.
Yeah.
We shoot firecrackers.
Who shot the fireworks? But the parents were all close. It was a community, and the parents were really close, and they were always doing things and looking out for the kids. And they'd have these fundraisers. If you look through, somehow I came across that article. I wished I'd cut it out and saved it, but you can go to newspapers.com and put in a newspaper and a date, and that's how I did some research on our family business. But another place where you get lots of historical information, and there's a lot of Jefferson, and Toby has sat on the board of the Rutherford County Historical Society, and I just wanted to mention September 18th, Mary Watkins of the African American Historical Society is going to present Apple John at 7 p.m. at Oakland's. And then on October 31st, this will be another good program. Pettis Reed is going to present Barns and Other Farm Buildings of Rutherford County. And that meeting is at 7 p.m. at Oakland's, October 31st, think Halloween. And just mention, too, that the dues are only $25. It's so reasonable. And they meet I believe it's the third Monday. And sometimes we meet off-site, but usually we're meeting at Oakland's now. And to find more articles on Old Jefferson or Jefferson Springs, that's another whole subject right there. You can go to RutherfordTNHistory.com to the website, and you just wouldn't believe all the information there. And if I could announce one more thing, the Smyrna Rotary's having their 22nd annual Wings of Freedom Fish Fry. And this year we're honoring canine officers and their dogs, because the canine dog is an officer too, and it could get killed and give up its life to protect its, the other officer. But it's September 21st from 5 to 9 at the Smyrna Airport Azor Flight Supply, which is at 278 Doug Warpool Road. And this is our 22nd year doing this. We've raised over $1 million in the years we've done this, and we've benefited a lot of different groups. And love for everybody to come out. We're still looking for sponsors. You can go to WOFSmyrna.com and find out the information on the sponsorships. Tickets are $50. So, and all you can eat fish, beans.
Oh, yeah.
It's good. Yeah. The food is great.
Well, I asked Roger if he can get Miss Dot to come out. And have you talked to her about that?
Well, nothing else we can get her plate. We'll see. But, you're just talking about the old Jefferson and the kind of history, the old Jefferson memories on Facebook. That's my nephew, Carson Bennett.
That is excellent. Yes.
And he tried to call in, but I said I didn't think we could get him in. But anyway, also, I'm going to give a quick shout-out, Mike, before we get out of here. This guy did a little work for me yesterday, and he did such a great job. I said, man, I'm going to see if my buddy let you get a spot. But Lopez Pressure Washing 629-200-5624. Guy did an awesome job. I mean, they got out there, man, and busted it. Great price and everything.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. Let me do
Well,
that.
thank you for hosting the Men of Hope prayer breakfast yesterday.
Oh, no problem.
I think the deck needs some work. Mark Lewis was Mark 300 pounds. He stepped on one of the boards. I think it needs some repairs. Put it that way. Mark's a big old boy. Well, Miss Dot, you want to share some more memories of your childhood?
Okay. We always had a big rodeo. We had a big rodeo in our backyard.
Really?
And I went out and I invited everybody to come. And and a whole bunch of people come. And you know, we had that ball game, you know, on the square there. Bruce Short, had a whole bunch of boys, and he bring them up there to do a ball game, and that's when I met John. And
Her husband.
things was on then.
Yeah, Uncle John. I heard about that motorcycle he had. You told me that story. I don't.
It was something else. I wish you'd have seen it. It was so pretty. But John was good looking too. Oh boy, I just telling Darlene, that's my niece. I said I loved him with all my heart.
69 years.
Wow.
Before he passed away. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Long time.
And Miss Dot, you lost a brother, right? In Normandy.
Yeah, I lost a brother. Yeah, Ed come home and well, you know, and he was killed in a car wreck going to Nashville. You know, with Billy Spry and them. Did you ever know any of the Sprys?
No, man.
I actually did. But my Uncle Bo, the one she's talking about, Bo Hunter, he's the one who got killed in Normandy in 1944.
Yeah, now Bo got killed in World War II. Yeah.
So you lost two brothers.
In 1944. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we had that funeral, you know, down there at the church. That was at the Joneses. And that's where we had his funeral. And then Ed, when he got killed, they brought him back to Lee Victory's there.
They had his funeral at the Victory Home. Yes.
Oh, did you really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah, there. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I've actually got the old register from that funeral that I'm going to bring to the old Jefferson reunion. It's got signatures in there from 1948 when they had that, or 1949 when they had that funeral.
Yeah, uh-huh, yeah.
But Aunt Doc, you say you are going to make it? You are going to make it to that. I hope you make it. And I won't be able to take you. I got to work the ghost tours this year. Sam Davis home, so I'll have to leave. But maybe Ralph or somebody like that. Maybe Ralph, you listening? Maybe one of y'all could bring you.
Well, Ralph said he would bring me, but Martha Wright.
Oh yeah.
She might come.
Okay, yeah.
I can get her. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Bo, Sunday school teacher.
All right. Well, thank you, Miss Dot.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aunt Dot.
I talk all the time about old Jefferson.
All right.
Thank you. We'll talk to you
Thank
later.
you, Jenny Williams, Tubby Francis, Roger. Thank you, Jackson. And we'll see y'all next week. Thank you, Miss Dot. See you next week.
Portions of our programming have been pre-recorded. The Good Neighbor Network, WGNS, Murfreesboro, Smyrna. Flagship station for MTSU Sports.